will be somewhere else in an exciting place. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, and I wish you an amazing 2 days of intellectual, stimulation and discourse and forming new networks and collaborations. And I am always available for any sort of support that is needed, as some of my colleagues will know. And I remain at your disposal always. Thank you so much, and all the best to you.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful address. Your expertise in healthcare, research, and education is truly inspiring, and we appreciate your valuable contributions to this conference. To deliver the next inaugural address, we are honored to welcome Professor Dr. Kanika Gupta joining us virtually. With nearly 2 decades of experience in academia and research, she has led triple accredited UK-based programs and played a key role in online education, accreditations, and academic partnerships. Her work spans Europe, India, and the USA, with contributions to institutions like Amity University and Open University. A strong advocate for sustainable development goal for quality education, she is committed to enhancing academic programs and digital transformation in education. Please welcome Professor Dr. Kanika Gupta.
Okay, I hope that all of you can hear me. So thank you for your enlightening messages from all my fellow colleagues. Academic President of MAHE Dubai, Dr. Sudhinder, Founder Confab, Dr. Nishu Adi, and a friend as well, Dr. Tufail Sayed, Founder President of Rushford Business School, James Lind Institution, European School of Data Science and Technology. And thanks for having me here today. So I'm speaking from Germany, and it's really a delightful event today morning to have been between so many renowned academicians, colleagues, and the distinguished guests. Well, innovation is advancing at a rapid pace, but our ability to adapt is evolving even faster. I was just passing by my living room and I saw this big television, LED television now. It's getting bigger and bigger. And look at the television several years ago. Those big bulky boxes that occupied a significant portion of our living rooms. And today we have sleek, flat screen LED televisions that mount seamlessly on the walls. What do you say about this transformation? Is it innovation? Yes, it is. But let's pause for a moment and consider the benefits and the drawbacks of this change. This old box TV were durable. Many lasted for decades. However, they consumed a lot of electricity, emitted more heat, and had limited display quality. On the other hand, LED TVs now offer stunning picture quality, consume less energy, and are aesthetically appealing. But they also have a shorter lifespan and contribute to electronic waste, raising concerns about environmental sustainability. Moreover, increased screen time on high-definition displays have implications for eye health, sleep disruption, and overall well-being. So this shift in technology is a perfect example of innovation, where the new ideas replace old ones, bringing benefits while also introducing new challenges. But innovation goes far beyond just improving convenience. It transforms industries, enhances efficiency, and most importantly, creates a long-lasting impact on society. So what is innovation? The theme of this conference is innovating for impact. Innovation is not doing something what we were not doing before, and now we have started to do it. Innovation is not also creating an artificial need when solutions or disruptive, completely transforming industries. So innovation is not just about technology, it's about new business models, policies, way of thinking to create value and to solve a real business problem. I'm emphasizing on the real business problem. So there are various industries we're going to talk about in today's world. And in today's conference, education, healthcare, transportation, business and communication, and the way these changes are being integrated are immense and they're very meaningful. But with great innovation comes great responsibility as well. And while technology solves many problems, it also creates new ones. Ethical dilemmas of artificial intelligence, for instance. Job displacement due to automation, and environmental concerns from e-waste. Are we considering long-term impacts? There are a few key EU research priority areas which I would like to bring in front of all of you. And as we go along, there are a lot of European Union promotion and to identify these areas which are key priority areas, and they are funding a lot of institutions together to eliminate or to provide solution. And it is not just in one part of the world these issues occur. These are also the key issues in the developed economies. So a new plan for the Europeans, Europe's sustainability, prosperity, and the competitiveness, making business easier to foster economic growth and to support EU's competitive industries and creating quality jobs, developing a circular and resilient economy that puts research and innovation at its heart and accelerates investment, tackling the skills and the labor gap, and leading the digital technology innovation. This is a big issue in the European markets these days about the skills, workforce, and to come up with certain programs which really help them and upskill their current and the future workforce. So we as business institutions definitely have a huge scope here to see that how we can really make a difference. And we being into all of us, like Dr. Tufail, Rashford Business School, James Lind Institution, EU Global Business School, into online education as well and to distance education as well. So somewhere we all need to think about that how we can scale. Scalability in education is the major issue that we all are doing, but what if we keep doing something within our niche, that how do we reach that scale and impact thousands and thousands of lives, which are to be, for instance, India. There's huge scope. There are so many people in the small towns, in the villages, who needs to be empowered and are educated as well. The second area for the European Union key priority areas is the European defense and security. And I'm sure that this is not only for EU, but also for the rest of the world. our societies and our social model, sustaining and improving the quality of life we enjoy today by promoting social fairness in the modern economy, strengthening solidarity among citizens, by reuniting our societies. We are looking at the international politics and the international tensions these days, and what we need is more peaceful societies. Sustaining our quality of life, food security, water, and nature. A few parts of the world are really, really struggling with these. Imagine the air quality index in a few countries. It is very hard to even breathe there. Water scarcity. So building a competitive and the resilient agriculture and the food system, safeguarding biodiversity to support our farmers and safeguard our healthy food is one of the key priority areas which have been defined. Protecting our democracy, upholding our values, and leveraging our power and partnerships. As delivering together and preparing our union for the future. Now, we were preparing for one of the EU funding project, and very beautiful, a few companies related to the agenda, the international partners, and the SMEs. Now, when we are researching, and this was evident in the previous messages as well, that how relevant the collaboration is, it is highly important that whatever we are doing for making an impact, because we have limited time. And the world is not there to, sit back with us to really read what we are doing in our silos. So it's very important to collaborate, to bring in the industry perspective together, to widen and broaden our own perspective, and then to really, really ensure that whatever we are saying is adequately disseminated. And if possible, the recommendations goes to the stakeholders for the application. So just not spend your time for writing, but just try to solve and disseminate that information to the relevant stakeholders. I will end my message today here, and I would like to again congratulate the entire team for organizing this wonderful event. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am, for your insightful address. Your dedication to quality education and academic innovation is truly inspiring, and we appreciate your valuable contributions to this conference. We are honored to welcome our chief guest, Professor Dr. O.P. Bora, who is a distinguished academic and expert in finance, economics, and public policy. With a remarkable career spanning leading universities in the UAE and India, he has also collaborated with Cambridge, Oxford, and LSE on influential research. A recipient of multiple prestigious awards, he has contributed significantly to public finance, fiscal decentralization. Today, please welcome Professor Dr. O.P. Bora on stage.
Morning. Assalamu alaikum. As Dr. Adu said, we said learn Habibi and all that, so all are my Habibi over there. So let me express my deep gratitude to Dr. Nishu. We met in our institute in Delhi, and she discussed so many aspects, and then she said that we are having conference and please join the conference. I said, of course, I'll come and join over there. So I'm thankful to Dr. Nishu, Dr. Sudhindra, Mahe. I mean, I just wonder, I move around entire UAE, in Abu Dhabi, in LA, in Sharjah, Dubai, Wollongong, IMT, all the places, as and when they requested, I did go there. How I missed Mahe, I don't know. But now Dr. Sudhindra says that, yes, it's not missed the Mahe, but you should be here. Anyway, let us start with that wonderful thing Dr. Anul was saying, that now anything is there, is there. Thing is that now, as we discussed, now we have to do some kind of survey. If you do the survey, if I had done the survey of UAE, other people are not done over there. So do the survey and you get primary data out there. And you do the research, perhaps you get some kind of good result of that primary survey, which is not done by others, because it's not in the chat GPT, it's not in the Google over there. I did my survey, I did my research, which is not there, right? Then this is my contribution to research, but other thing, everything is available in the with thanks to Google and OpenAI and ChatGPT is there. The second important aspect I just want to share what Dr. Niso was saying over there before I touch upon that. It's a, say, collaboration. One professor from AU, he discussed about resource sharing. The concept is there, resource sharing. One organization resources, it's lying over there, it's used for 2 hours, but it can be used by others also. So concept is collaboration, and Dr. Nishu is conference, which is very, very useful in today's, research, academic, and government policy maker. So it's a collaboration, and resource sharing is also the most important aspect. She gave one story, Dr. Nishu, about rock and all that. I thought I should not give, but there's less of time. So what you started digital technology, it's a good or bad? I think it's a good, I hope, because what happened, I was, in Delhi, I was crossing through that some plaza, and that fellow, I said, give me receipt of the, toll. He said, no, you don't know that, we are digitized. I said, I know that. No, everything digitized. It's in the, your mobile latest come the receipt. Wonderful. So what happened over there? First pillar, which is of digital technology in the public administration, what is mentioned about that? Over the years, it has changed. Now, if you go that everywhere, e-governance is there and e-portal is there. I want to renew my license in India. They say, no, go online and you can get it done. You don't have to go anywhere over there. And you don't have to pay any kickbacks to the agent over there. So what happened over there? If you have injected this technology in the public administration, which earlier it has so many, aspects taking a long time, slow and money, all sort of things. But now it's not there. You can get it done over there. So little less time. But this e-governance, e-portal, now we have everything done on the e-portal over there. So that's very important aspect of digital technology in the public administration. Second aspect is about engineering application. This is second pillar of the progress of society, engineering application. It's a backbone of any country, it's a backbone of the growth of the economic growth in the country over there. So they play very important roles in the industry, academia, and governments. They can collaborate, they can foster, that lead to the growth of the economy in a country, and that's the most important aspect, which is your second pillar, what she selected over there. Third is about environment. What I feel is most important aspect, environment. I tell you, 2 days before I was in Delhi, and 5 o'clock in the morning, I was preparing to come to Dubai, and I found my bottles lying over there, shaking over there. Most important example, in this part of the world, and India also like that. I don't know, anyone who's go to Sharjah, no? I used to go Sharjah, I taught there. Right side, before entering Sharjah, a heap of garbage is there. What is this? Who is responsible for that? All individual responsible. So this environment, it's not a government, it's a collective responsibility of individual, government, and all such everything. It's a collective responsibility. So how best we can do the environment? How best we can help the environment? When I was teaching some of the students, they get me very good paper on that, and they say that future city Masdar. Now, if you heard in Abu Dhabi, they say Masdar future city over there. They not use any kind of AC and all that, all based on architect, how best they use over there. If you have Masdar city, they've taken care of environment over there. No, all pollution, no carbon emission, nothing like that. So if you have such kind of example, it's very important. Environment, and it's a collective responsibility. It's not individual, it's not government over there. And the fourth aspect which we are discussing, our other speakers also mentioned about that. Before 3 years, 2019, for example, after that, we didn't know it's online, things are going over there, and what is the online and what things are there. This concept goes with the education, healthcare. What happened there? Before COVID-19, no online things were there. We are not knowing anything going online, little bit, not much. But COVID-19, which is concept, which is a problem, it created and it helped us how best we can use the resources now online. Now in the school, right from children, first to go up to the masters, all are online. I taught online classes. I did exam online over there. I published my grade online. This is online happening. So this is a very important concept. After we have had bad things about COVID-19 over there, but good things now, everything online. We can listen to great speaker by sitting over here. I can talk to the people. So this concept is very important. Introduction of digital technology in that is the most important aspect over there, which goes with the healthcare as well. I mean, earlier people were not much worried about, but real research paper, they'll give some insight how best we can resolve these issues are there. And these are 5 pillars which is very important for the society to progress further. With that, I just say thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Nisi, and thanks all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful address. Your expertise and contributions to finance, economics, and public policy are truly inspiring, and we appreciate your time and valuable insights today. Now, we are honored to welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Akram Khazi, CEO of RAS Infotech Limited. With nearly 3 decades of experience, Mr. Khazi is a visionary leader in cybersecurity, driving innovation and market expansion across the Middle East and South Asia. His expertise in strategic leadership, service innovation, and cybersecurity advocacy has positioned him as a trusted advisor in the industry. His ability to anticipate trends and transform challenges into opportunities makes him a true pioneer in his field. So we are privileged to have you with us today. I now invite Mr. Akram Khazi to take the stage and share his insights with us.
Thanks so much for introduction. Thank you, Manipal and Confab360 for giving this opportunity for me to come. Being part of this is a great privilege. I thought I'll just take a few minutes and try to do a basic presentation and explain to you where the markets are heading to. With all these researches which you are doing, it's an exceptional job. On cybersecurity world, things are evolving as we are looking at next steps into 21st century, wherein AI, ML, and IoT are connected, and we are looking at next steps here. I just thought I'll take a few slides and explain to you about what's happening globally in terms of industrial revolutions. I think most of you might have a presentation. Sorry. Maybe my presentation is getting loaded. Just give me two minutes. As we are heading into 21st century, we are looking at cybersecurity getting evolved. So is the threat. Now, the threat vector, which was limited in year 2000 to just emails, today has reached in terms of your mobile, your wireless. You're looking at threat vectors growing. And so does, those applications which you are building have various different threat vectors. Now, imagine if you have a new application developed. Now, when you have a new application developed, you go through the cycle of assessing that solution before it goes to production. And the next steps are to actually look at putting those controls which are required in terms of identifying those concerns on your codes, and then making sure that you do a vulnerability assessment to make sure that application doesn't have any vulnerability, and then you look at next steps. Just give me 1 minute. So much, thank you. I've taken this theme, Man and Mission Industry 5.0. In the approach today, technology cannot replace a human. Let's make it very clear. Technology is there to enhance and make sure that you have in each sector the efficiency which is required to provide such services. Now, hence, I would like to take a few slides and explain to you as to how we have seen the industrial revolution. Now, I think you can see the slide on either sides. Now, if you're looking at 1780s, when the first industrial revolution came in, the economy, which was actually only limited to agriculture, went into industry. So we saw mass production in terms of using steam and water. That was the first industrial revolution which we saw. Exactly after 100 years, we saw the second industrial revolution, wherein we saw invention of electricity. So most of the industries got electricity. So you saw mass production. Hence, it enhanced big industries worldwide. Then you saw Industry Revolution 3.0. This was again 100 years later. 1969, 1970s, when we saw electronics as well as nuclear power helping a big industrial revolution. Now we saw aspects of automation to some extent. Now in the whole go, we saw CNC machines, we saw variety of machines which replaced hands, but it did not replace human. It helped human, making sure that those aspects of building new equipments, etc., were enhancing the production rather than cutting down the human himself. Now, exactly in last 25 years, we saw a new industrial revolution with invent of internet. So here is where we can see all the topics which you have here of digitalization came into picture. Today, governments can interact with you. You have services on government delivered to you on your fingerprints, on your internet. Now, this is something which has changed in the last 25 years. Now, it did not take another 100 years to get another industrial revolution. We call it as Industry 5.0, which actually we are into, wherein using AI, ML, as well as IoT, we are connected. Now, each sector, whether it is healthcare, utilities, etc., they're all using IoTs, machine learning, AI. Hence, we are into Industrial Revolution 5.0, I could say. As we look at modernization, every industry is looking at enhancing and integrating IT with operational technologies, IT and OT getting merged, wherein you could actually see at every stage of production, what is the input going on, what kind of raw materials we are utilizing. And at every stage, we can actually measure how much output we need, whether we need to increase that output or limit to that in every industry. Now, having got into OT modernization, we see primarily threats as well. Now, I've taken 3 small examples here On the right-hand side, you can see these threats actually start on IT. I've taken 3 examples. I don't know whether you can see on the screen on the left-hand side, I've taken examples of a ransomware, a phishing, and a malware. Ransomware, generally it starts with IT, wherein it can infect few IT systems, wherein maybe it encrypts the files. But just imagine when they move to OT, operational technology, wherein you're running machineries, they can actually stop your industrial production system. Similarly, if you're looking at a phishing email, which has actually come onto your endpoint, when you open it, maybe you fall prey to that particular hacker. When you click on that link, maybe you download some tool with some malware, you can actually exploit that. Imagine literally the OT environment. It can stop your industry. This is exactly what happened with few of the hospitals in UK. I think you've heard about NHS having a ransomware attack. The entire hospital network was down. And when the hospital network was down, there were many surgeries which were delayed. Same thing happened with airlines. Many airports had cyber attacks with which we saw many airlines delayed, and this kept on going on. Now, if you're looking at the same threats which I showed you on IT, when they spread to OT, this is what would happen. Let's take some real-time, real-world examples. 15 years back, there was this particular attack, which is called, sorry, I'm just taking the wrong slide here. Yeah, this particular attack, which started with the help of one USB, which was infiltrated in a nuclear plant in Iran. This USB infected almost every computer in the environment, and it actually targeted a specific program, which was a Siemens operating system, which was managing centrifuges of a nuclear reactor. So this particular program, when the USB was inserted and got infected, it actually delayed the, it increased the RPM of those centrifuges to that extent that it could have become a kind of a mini nuclear bomb. So I'm just trying to give you an example that a threat which can come on OT side, you can have this kind of concerns wherein industry can be crippled. Having said that, as I've seen that majority of companies are looking at converging IT with OT, with this modernization, we could see the hacker who was actually accessing the IT network now can crawl in and actually try to exploit even the OT environment, and with which you can have loss of production and lose out the control of industrial control system to a hacker. Furthermore, as every organization today is regulated, they can also have regulatory fines and they can have reputational damage as well. As I've seen today that, I was looking at the document which was there right in front of me. I saw so many papers being presented. One thing I thought, most of these applications which you are developing, as we speak today in the 21st century, in year 2025, the number one threat vector which we are seeing is web application security threat. Most of these web application threats are increasing because there are flaws, because humans are developing it. Of course, they're using APIs and chat GPTs and other AI technologies with them. But the fundamental concerns are there are loopholes which development teams forget to assess them or do not follow the SDLC processes of ensuring that cybersecurity assessment is done on every stage. And if you're looking at the next slide, you can see we have open these different vulnerabilities which are there in web applications. a potential threat for your web. So hence, when you develop applications, you need to do something called as static application security testing. Static application security testing is where you check the source codes. You get to know each line of source code and find out what is the flaw in it and take examples. I've taken an example of one of the companies called Sparrow, and they have this approach wherein the repository of your application, it could be on GitHub, GitHub, or GitLabs, etc., or it could be on your desktop. When you upload that application, you check every line of code and find what is the fault in it before it is being published online. Now, when we do that, these tools, you also have very many open source free tools to do that. When you have an application developed, check whether static application security testing, we also call it as source code review, identify which line of code could be a potential threat. Had maybe a loop built in on it, maybe you need to change this and have it in this way. There are many programs. So when you develop your own application, make sure that you have a source code review done. Choose there are open source tools, or you can go through one of the online tools which are available for you. Download them, test them out, make sure that your application has no flaws in terms of source codes. Once you do a source code review, it's not sufficient. You need to do a vulnerability scan, we also call as DAST, Dynamic Application Security Testing. Static application security testing is all about checking each line of code for quality test as well as for security assessment. Maybe the program language today is okay. Maybe after a few years, it can be a potential threat. Maybe it's a flaw wherein it can be exploited. So with your SDLC program, following the SDLC, you would make sure that at every stage you assess. And the stage when you go to production, before going to production, you do something called as DAST, which is also called as vulnerability assessment, where you identify all those vulnerabilities and get remediation guidelines as to how to find those vulnerabilities. What are the concerns with those vulnerabilities? What can it exploit? Many open source web application security assessment tools. We call it as DAST, which is also known as vulnerability management. Now, why I'm talking about this aspect is in any go, when you are deploying an application, it could be any of these industries which you are talking. Every industry today, whether it's healthcare, in UAE we have ADHICS, which is Abu Dhabi Health Authority's information security guidelines, or for that matter, you have NESA, which is National Electronic Security audit approach for all the government departments. And so is with financial organization, we have PCI, which is payment card industry. Every regulatory authority states that we have an application, you need to assess it both before it is going to production, post going to production, you need to have vulnerability assessment done. So I want to actually share this slide to you, wherein it can actually showcase when you do a vulnerability assessment to find out which URL has what vulnerability and how to fix it. So this is what you can achieve with any open source vulnerability tools. And last but not least, when you have effective controls, you can prevent attacks. I thank all of you to doing a golden job in terms Manipal Academy to give this platform for people like you to actually bring out your research programs. Thank you so much for giving me opportunity, ma'am, and sir, for allowing me to present about my question. Yeah.
So as the OT security threat is growing, okay, what we have seen, the critical changes in OT environment is coming, which is out of private 5G. Second is the framework, which is body model, whether it is strictly followed or not. And the third aspect is that the east-west traffic management, which is more between the devices, which is not discoverable. So how exactly you are implementing ML algorithm to detect the OT, okay, components and endpoints and apply the kind of AI algorithm to manage the security?
Good question. So I want to again rephrase his question. When you're using ML for that matter within an industry, if there is a east-west traffic, which is an internal traffic between two endpoints, how do we detect, how do we prevent such attacks? See, most of the organizations do today something called as segmentation. We also use a technology called as network access control. With network access control, we can actually do segmentation and micro-segmentation and ensure it can be detected and you can actually isolate such attacks. Now, if you have a machine learning program, if somebody tries to actually amend it, and if say, for example, in any industry, why you're doing ML is because you are ensuring a repetitive task is done with much efficient approach, and not that human does a mistake sometimes doing the same activity. So if you have a ML in any industry, you can make sure that the efficiency is there. And in the whole go, if there are programs which are impacted or corrected, you have technologies like ADRs to actually check them and prevent such attacks. So this is all about it. Any other questions we have in cybersecurity? I'm sorry, I'm not a good speaker. I thought I'll just take this time, share a few slides with you guys. If you have any other questions on cybersecurity side, please welcome. Yeah.
There are patches, the patch content, we generally employ patches that are a couple of releases older, right? For maintenance purposes. So, for example, we don't employ the 0-day patches. So, in that case, how effectively is the endpoints included?
Good question you asked. So what you're trying to ask is, or there could be a third-party patch. There are sometimes a 0-day patch. I think last week we have a vulnerability which still doesn't have a patch being announced by the vendor. How do we handle such threats if we know that there is a particular vulnerability and the vendor is not released, so that we call it as a 0-day patch? Generally, there are 2-3 approaches to handle it. In terms of best practices, we know what is that vulnerability and try to ensure that in your Windows firewalls, if you are using endpoint, make sure that that specific port has been, you put controls saying that block such ports. And if there is an exploit coming from there, you can block them. This is one approach. Second approach, of course, you can't do anything if you're a very large environment wherein you have endpoints. This is where, again, technology like network access control can add big value. What it'll do is it'll try to put, it's like having multiple firewalls for you. It's not just limiting to one perimeter firewall. That is not sufficient. You need to have segmentation. And when you see a behavior, what is a vulnerability on an endpoint would do? If you have that vulnerability, somebody may try to exploit it. If you have an open door to the external world, or if it is limited to within the network, and if there is only that exploit happening on that vulnerability, you may get impacted.
They may be very so a 3-year, 5-year gap with the versions. For example, when you take the Microsoft Dynamics environment, in that case, many people are currently running, even in the industry, the very old version of Navision 2050 or like AX, something like that. So when the software patches or the versions are very much outdated. In this case, you are best practices to follow.
Yeah, see, if it is a web-based application within your environment, you know that there is a vulnerability. Imagine it's an ERP which is deployed. There is a vulnerability which is known, and you have an exception management within the organization saying that maybe it takes 3 weeks or 4 weeks for you to update that particular patch. In the whole Go, what you can do is you can write a virtual patch on your web application firewall. If you're using a web application, definitely you need to have a web application firewall. You can write a virtual patch saying that if this particular application vulnerability is there, which can be exploited, we will write a virtual patch, making sure that that vulnerability cannot be exploited. Yeah. Any other questions?
We have a question online. How much reliance can be placed on open source tools, which we have malicious hidden threat for insertion by using it for testing content?
Good question. See, the US government recently has issued a regulation, which I think majority of you developers may know. If you're using an open source component in any of your applications, API from GitHub or whatever you get, you are supposed to have a declaration. We also call it SBOM, Software Bill of Material. That has to be declared. This is a requirement from the, if you are selling US to any application, so you need to declare that these are the open source web applications we are using and how secure they are. Of course, you need to do an API assessment. If you have multiple APIs used, which are open sources, you need to check the vulnerability assessment of each of them. So how do you do that? You use, I think most of the programmers we know, there's something called as Postman, where you have details about all the APIs. When you do an assessment of most of the APIs, post and get information, right? So you need to assess whether a business logic part, whether your APIs can pose any potential threat. If not, you can go to production. Otherwise, if you have certain vulnerabilities, you need to make sure that, many open sources are very good. And it's not that they're not. But in the whole Go, before they are utilized, you should make sure that they are tested properly. Now, whenever you have a source code where you are using multiple applications and you're using APIs, it is bound on you to make sure that you understand whether you are using those API, because 9 out of 10 times when we are developing an application and we are going on production, we forget to remove certain APIs or rogue API calls, which we are doing from the applications. We need to assess that. We also call it as SCA, Software Composition Analysis. We need to do that analysis and create a SBOM, which is Software Bill of Material, and publish it when we are, as a documentation to the customers or to our, if you are making an application which is public. So I hope I have answered this question. Any other questions we have? Yeah. Thank you so much once again for giving this.
Please have you on stage. Thank you, sir. With that, we now move on to the keynote addresses, where we will hear from our distinguished experts in the field. My apologies. He has shaped leadership development, public policy, and mental health while holding senior roles as dean and director at top institutions. His work on public policy and leadership studies has influenced both academia and industry, and he's a strong advocate for sustainable development goals. With that, I invite Professor Dr. Abhay Anand Tiwari to the stage for his keynote address.
Good morning to all of you. One thing I have seen that when in technology, first of a very good presentation, When Dr. Akram was talking about threats, there were a lot of questions. But when we were talking about the utility and usefulness of technology, there was hardly any question. It's when this is there, when technology is there, so we see that, yes, there is a threat. Sometimes you feel that we are surrounded by technology. And as a human, we try to understand, because we are already surrounded by so many people and human and relationships and a lot many aspects. So if there's another thing which is so strong, this technology is so strong, it is almost impacting and influencing each and every aspect of our life. And we are surrounded by that. So we have to talk about it. There is a threat, there is a utility, there is a very good use. We can change the lives of human in both ways, positive and negative. There are people who are, and at the same time, you need expertise. And there are people who are very expert in changing the life of humans in negative way. Maybe they may be better than the people who are changing the lives in a positive way. They're more successful. So this technology certainly is a very important aspect, and whether it is environment, whether it is healthcare, whether it is public administration, in every sense, there is technology is there. In human behavior, in 7 climate control and a lot of things we say about it. Do we have the similar? Can we develop the similar behavior in human being, similar maturity in human being, where they would know about the feedback mechanism? As a human behavior, we develop where we know how well I'm looking. So I know I don't need to ask anyone. When you wear something and getting ready for some event, first thing you ask after getting ready that how well I am looking. This color is going and these things are going. So that's feedback. As a human behavior, as a human, we always look for that feedback. That's the aspect. Then how technology is helping us. In many cases, technology giving us feedback. Some of my quite younger one, they say that there is some app there where you can check. Still, we are not calling it that we have intelligence machine. Still, we are not calling it that we have intelligence machine. We have artificial intelligence. As a human being, we all know that human being, they think in a little, they make decisions based on heuristics. I've never been in Dubai, and I can see that car is coming, and I can see the change in me. I live in Delhi, so I can say within few minutes I got to know. So I can say within few minutes I got to know that the behavior of drivers are very different from the place I'm coming from. So I don't need to set an algorithm thing in my system so that I can take decisions. So machines, whatever machines are there, we are putting the algorithm. A lot of experts would say, no, we are almost reaching to a level where we would have the heuristic model of taking decisions by machines. Almost impossible. There's a driverless car. No one is driving, and they are taking the cues from the environment and taking the decision. But still, you have to put up those data in that machine. That's why it is artificial intelligence. But certainly, with the invent of a better computer systems and the supercomputers, with a lot of data can be encoded in the system, a lot of input is there. So that's why machines started almost coming closer to human. Because in terms of particularly closer to human. Because in terms of particularly the decision making. So yes, it is very important. Machines are important. Artificial intelligence is important. Machine learning is important. And basically, these tools, these things are helping our ecosystem in a very great way. Like if I would take the Sustainable Development Goals, I want to there's a lot of things that the climate control and the environment and the industry and infrastructure. There are a lot of aspects, there are a lot of Sustainable Development Goals are there, and those can be really handled very well by the machine. We are using artificial intelligence. We can get a lot of information, and we can be predictive. With the help of artificial intelligence, one thing that is really coming up is we can be predictive. You've reached Dubai, so you started getting a lot of information about what is good in Dubai. So we can be predictive. So and faster. The reach is very there's no limit of the reach of a machine. So in that way, they are really helping us in every aspect, and in particularly if I just link it with public administration and the Sustainable Development Goals, it is really impacting a lot. Like we have with Internet of Things, we can really do a lot of energy management. The efficiency of machines and energy would increase. With the help of blockchain technology, we can find out that where this system is going. The traceability is much higher with the use of those. So there are a lot of, like with e-commerce. Autonomous has become the part of our life. It's all that we would be depending lesser and lesser on the infrastructure. So all these things are there with these machines, and with that, the lesser carbon footprint emission is there. Certainly, machines can help a lot in those. Almost there will be no paper. Earlier, if you see a lot of government office, a lot of papers. What are paper? Papers are basically one of the enemy of environment. You have to you cut it from the tree, cut the tree, and then you make, and then you throw it. So it's creating havoc in the system. And that simple thing can be controlled by the use of machine. So certainly these machines, these technology can help a lot to set the systems like public administration and all these 5 factors and 4 factors. We are discussing it, but at the same time, what Dr. Akram said, schools can do a lot about it. In business school, we can start, already the courses are being started where we are talking about the artificial, even a 5-year, 6-year, 7-year boy is talking about ChatGPT. So certainly the system is there. These things are there in our ecosystem. And so business school can play a very important role where they can produce future leaders who understand the environment, who understand that they have to protect the environment, and technology can be a great friend for them. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful address. We truly appreciate your time and expertise in sharing your valuable perspectives with us today. Unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, Professor Joe Hewden was unable to join today. Sahagun from High Point University, USA, a distinguished academic. With experience in the furniture and automotive industries, he has contributed extensively to marketing, neuromarketing, and business strategy. A frequent speaker at international conferences, his research continues to shape modern business practices. Joining us online, we now welcome Dr. Miguel Sahagun.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Let me just share my presentation, the presentation that I have for you. The only thing is that I need to look at this. Okay, it's right here. Okay, this is my presentation. Again, thank you for the invitation to this event. Okay, I would like to share some research that we perform, and we use a case study in order to do this research. And this research was in neuromarketing. And basically what we're going to be exposed in these next 10 or 15 minutes, I'm going to show you what how with the use of technology can go behave in a more thorough way, because we will be able to capture unconscious behavior once we apply some of these neuromarketing techniques. Okay, so let me just control this. I'm gonna put it in a presentation mode. I think that is how it is. And now let me just switch. Yep. Okay, so now I can see that it's working. Well, our research gap basically focuses on the exploration of how price and product materials, and also the web pages, searching and surfing in web pages, and also the different type of Google searches that are utilized by people when they look for products, how these evoke unconscious emotional responses, capture visual attention, and influence engagement among consumers. But the most important element over here is this word that it's basically unconscious, because in this specific situation, we will not rely on self-reflected measures. So now just switch SEOs that they utilize, how that influence the participant engagement when they are browsing. So we align those 3 research objectives with 3 research questions, and the research questions basically align with each one of the previous research objectives that I mentioned. So now, in order to make you a little bit more aware of what the neuromarketing is, okay? Neuromarketing utilizes different techniques and the use of technology in order to have access to the unconscious mind of consumers. So in a sense, in that way, consumers would not be able to lie to you, because you are not going to be relying on self-reflected measures. You are going to be monitoring and witnessing exactly the emotions, thoughts, feelings, and desires that are going to be expressed unconsciously through all the participants that you analyze. And for this particular study, we ended up using 3 neuromarketing techniques. One of it is the GSR, or galvanic skin response. This technique will allow us to measure emotional arousal, okay? And we also use facial expression analysis. And this technique would allow us to identify if the feeling that that particular participant was sensing was positive, negative, or neutral. And we, throughout the entire time, we were able to monitor the eyes in order to pay close attention and for how long they were looking at some of the images or some of the elements that were included in the web page. Okay, so now jumping also a little bit on the emotional responses. Okay, what are emotions? Emotions, based on previous research that has been performed, can be defined as a multifaceted phenomena that consists on behavioral reactions, expressive reactions, psychological reactions, and also subjective feelings, okay? So this makes emotions highly complex, and that's why once companies are able to identify correctly those emotions, they can better align the products and their marketing strategies with the particular segment that they are trying to target. Talking a little bit about visual attention and why visual attention is important, it's because visual attention plays a key role in object recognition, and also the attention, it's a selective process that allows us to gather relevant information that it's going to be guiding our future behavior, okay? So in a sense, if we want to know if we're going to be able to trigger those actions among the people that we want to appeal to, then this will be a very good way to identify if we're going to be effective or not. And then some of the reasons why engagement is important, it's because engagement refers to the state of being emotionally involved, committed, enthusiastic, focused, and dedicated. And it has been shown already that engagement increases satisfaction, then enhances motivation to act. And in that way, we can start kind of like triggering the emotions that we are hoping to generate among those participants so they can start acting accordingly to what we need as companies. So what was the research design that we use in these quasi experiments that we ended up performing? In order to answer to the 3 research questions that we had, we performed 5 separate studies, okay? And the data collection consists to one specific marketing stimuli, and we were able to monitor through the use of the 3 techniques, neuromarketing techniques that I previously mentioned, GSR, facial expression analysis, and eye tracking, in order to monitor all the reactions. So that's why I mentioned over here that during this visual focus, facial expressions, and galvanic skin responses, or GSR, were monitored to measure the subconscious psychological reactions that were happening among each one of the participants, okay? So how did we follow the protocol of these experiments? Each participant visited the laboratory only once to complete a quasi-experiment that lasted anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes, okay? And the process that we follow in the lab was as follows, okay? First, we ended up doing all the setup for in the main station, and then we started calibrating all the pieces of equipment to make sure that it was capable of capturing that individual. And then after that, the quasi-experiment was executed, okay, or was performed. How did we recruit the participants? Okay, so participants were recruited using a non-random convenience sampling approach, okay, and all participation was voluntary. For the focus group, we used 44 participants, and for the different experiments, we use a total of 27 participants, okay? And something important that I would like to mention is that we use a participant separation. Basically, that means that we did not allow participants of the focus groups to be taking place in the quasi-experiment. And also, if one specific participant was already participating in one focus group, they were not allowed to participate in the other 4 focus groups. And at the same time, once they participated in one quasi-experiment, they were not allowed to participate in any other experiments. That was in order to any type of bias of being exposed. So what are the results? This is something very important that we ended up finding, okay? So in regards to the emotional responses and the visual attention to product attributes, okay, majority of the participants ended up identifying certain products that they were exposed to that were not necessarily made out of natural materials. For instance, in this case, I am indicating over here that participants identify the faux bowl root dining table with a glass top and the rotating sculptures as the most appealing pieces, okay? Then, in contrast, the use of authentic materials also shifted the participants' focus to the product's designs rather than its price. If we can see over here, this is a heat map, and we can see that this product, it's full material product, and that's why majority of the attention was taking a look at the price, okay? When they were exposed to products that they were made out of natural materials, that was not the case. Majority of the focus was in the product itself. continued that can be presented over here. So we are showing you two different product, okay, or a product made out of real materials, and this it's a similar product made out of faux material, okay. So as you can see over here, or in the heat map that is representing real material, majority of the attention happened in the product design, whereas in the other one, majority of the attention happened either in the price or in the description of that particular product. Then when we started monitoring also, or when we focus on the emotional responses and also the visual attention, we ended up detecting some peaks, arousal, GSR peaks, that they were most frequently observed when participants focus on product prices, okay? So that basically tells us that price was an important part of, or a very important element for the participants, okay? And it happens to be that products made from faux materials exhibited the highest GSR peaks, okay? And predominantly when participants were viewing the prices. So probably they couldn't believe that how come the product, the faux price, and the explanation for that is because this particular, and the explanation for that is because this particular product, its appeal might stem from its natural texture material that evokes a sense of warmth and connection to nature. Whereas the other one, the amethyst, its unique form and vibrant coloration, which naturally draws the eye. Amethyst, which is a rich purple product, okay, have stood due to the associations of luxury and mistake. So some of the reasons of why the color palettes ended up attracting the attention of the participants, we can clearly see that beige, cream, and brown tones, usually these are associated with warm, earthy colors, and the participants often associate these will come and being more comfort or being exposed to a little bit more comfort, which basically explains why they were attracted to these products that show those colors. Whereas the other color palette, black and silver, okay, these tones likely capture the attention due to the sleek modern aesthetics, which basically provides a sense of power and sophistication. Okay, then when we started focusing on the emotional engagement with digital interfaces, when they were free browsing in the web pages, the front page focus, okay, was basically providing very important information. Participants show a strong focus on front page, okay, and particularly they were paying very close attention to the animal structures and the golden elements that were included in that page. Then another area that ended up capturing a lot of attention from participants as well, it was the gallery page and also the drop-down menu use, okay? Then more results that are associated with the digital interface findings, okay? Half of the participants show GSR peaks while they were engaging in the gallery images. And that basically suggests that the artwork's visual appeal ended up creating a strong emotional response. Then how can we interpret these findings? Okay, well, these findings basically will tell us that we have to pay attention to very important elements in order to optimize the product appearance and price. Okay, since the product appearance and price are top priorities for the participants, marketers and also companies should ensure that the product images are accurate, professional, and that the pricing is prominently displayed. Also, the use of heat maps was very good because that was able to show us what was the visual attention that participants ended up paying or spending majority of the time when they were in that particular page. Okay, so the last element that we were analyzing, it was related with these keywords that were utilized when participants were doing some research. Okay, so we ended up finding out that small phrases with keywords was also important. Okay, instead of utilizing long sentences, we also observed that when participants type into the search bar and how they influence the results provided, that ended up providing very good insights and ended up providing very good results, search results to them. So usually participants who use more specific terms were likely presented with more tailored results or better results based on their search. And conversely, broader searchers ended up offering a wide range of options and potentially requiring more effort to find the desired product that they wanted. So that also tells us that we have to be more specific. And the last part of the analysis ended up consisting on the importance of sharing with the participants or with the audience sustainability actions that those companies are engaging. So there was a very important visual focus on sustainability images, okay, that ended up creating high emotional impact because high levels of arousal were happening when the participants were paying attention to these images where the owners of the company were helping the environment. Of showing an emerging theme that it's associated with consumer importance of sustainability. So that it's an important message that we have to communicate to the companies that nowadays, although they are for-profit companies, it is their responsibility to take care of the environment as well. So now jumping into the conclusions, okay, the conclusions, aligning them with the 3 research questions, these 2 set of conclusions ended up basically addressing the visual attention, okay, and the emotional responses among all the participants. So all these results suggest a preference for furniture incorporating multiple materials, glass, metal, or stone, okay, as these authentic materials drew more visual attention to the design over price. Because if you start focusing on faux material products, probably the main focus, it's going to be in the price. So you have to take into consideration these 2 factors in order to create the best way to present your products. Our results also suggest that appealing color palettes, quality materials, and design styles boost their popularity. Participants' subconscious responses reveal that these attributes increase attention span and elicited positive emotional responses among them, okay? And the last conclusions that basically focuses on the elements that are important for the web page designers, Google searches that can influence a high level of engagement and better preferences and a potential positive purchasing behavior. Our results suggest that the strategic placement and compelling visuals are key elements that capture that attention and drive emotional engagement during product exploration, okay? Then we already mentioned before that the gallery page drew significant attention, okay? So it is also important that you lie all the information and set up all the information in a very nice and professional way, okay? And my last slide focuses on the limitations of our study. You know that there is no perfect study, so all studies have limitations. This study was digging deeper into the qualitative aspects of it, and that is one of the reasons why our sample size was relatively small, was not random.